Every volcano has its own personality. Mystery Mount Adams earthquake surge is under investigation, Hannah Osborne reports. Scientists are installing multiple temporary seismic monitoring stations to get a better understanding of the sharp increase in earthquakes recorded at Mount Adams. And Mount Adams, as we know, is one of the Cascade volcanoes. And according to PNSN, Mount Adams, I don't see it has an increase, but anyway, what has an increase definitely is Mount St. Helens. I'll leave a link for PNSN for you, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. But something is going on with Mount Adams. Scientists are trying to establish what caused an unusual spike in earthquakes at Mount Adams volcano in Washington state by installing multiple temporary seismic monitoring stations at the site. And in the past month, it's had 19 earthquakes, whereas Mount St. Helens, of course, has had 96 earthquakes. Now, you'll see that yourself. In September, 6 small earthquakes were recorded at the high threat volcano. Normally, it only experiences 1 earthquake every 2 to 3 years. Okay, well, obviously, we've had, as we said, Mount Adams had, no, that was wrong. That was Rainier had 19. Mount Adams has had 5 in the last 30 days. Now, we are now working to gather more data to assess if this is really something unusual or just a volcano talking to us a bit more than it normally does. John Major, the CVO scientist in charge, told Live Science in an email. Our volcanoes chatter all the time, he said, adding that the nearby Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier often experience 10 to 20 earthquakes per month. Well, Mount St. Helens has had 96 earthquakes in the past 30 days. Mount Rainier, 19. So it's not 10 or 20 per month. Mount St. Helens, 96. Something is going on there. Some volcanoes like Mount St. Helens, Rainier, Mount Hood. Hood has had 5 in the past 30 days, just like Mount Adams. So that's part of the parcel of background activity at our Cascades volcanoes, he said. So when we are seeing, what we are seeing at Mount Adams is very far from unusual for the Cascades, but different for Mount Adams. At 12,277 feet height and 18 miles wide, Mount Adams is the largest active volcano in Washington, surpassing Mount Rainier, the state's highest peak by volume. The increase in earthquake activity, including another magnitude 0.9 quake on Sunday, October 6th, does not indicate an eruption will take place. The earthquakes were very small, ranging from magnitude 0.9 to 2 magnitude. Had one been standing at or near Mount Adams, one would not have felt these earthquakes, Major said. The volcano last erupted around 4,000 years ago, but this relatively long period does not mean that an eruption is due, he said. Every volcano has its own personality, and they do not erupt on any particular cycles, he said. Some may erupt and then be active intermittently for decades or centuries, then go back to a state of dormancy for centuries to millennia. Mount Adams generally produces effusive eruptions characterized by slow-moving lava flows rather than destructive explosive eruptions. The summit has a big section of unstable and weakened rock. If an eruption were to occur, the main danger would come from lahars, or muddy flows of rock and ash and ice, that surge downstream like rapidly flowing concrete, USGS representative wrote in a statement. Major said that generally volcanoes will broadcast pretty loudly if they're building towards an eruption, triggering lots of earthquakes that increase in size and frequency. A recent mild earthquake flurry does not fit that pattern. The ground around the volcano will also deform as magma pushes up, something that can be ascertained with GPS and satellite monitoring. And the volcano starts to release gases. These are the main things that we watch for to give us a sense of whether or not a volcano may be building towards an eruption. Major said, we fully expect to see these types of changes at any of our volcanoes should they begin moving towards eruption. At present, Mount Adams only has one permanent seismic monitoring station, around 7 miles southwest of the summit. There are plans to install more permanent stations at the site next summer, Major said. At this point, we simply do not have enough data to say much of anything, he added. After the new temporary stations we install have had a chance to collect data for a while, we'll be in much better position to assess the potential causes and significance of this seismic activity, and then determine if any further action is needed. David Pyle, volcanologist at University of Oxford in the UK, said the recent earthquakes could be caused by a whole range of processes, including the rocks creaking due to internal stresses and strains. Mount Adams, a small cluster of detected events is out of the ordinary, given how quiet the volcano has been for the past 40 years. He said, this is no cause for alarm, and it's too early to diagnose the cause, but the Sentinel seismometer, the permanent station, has done its job, and the team monitoring the volcano will now be able to keep a closer eye on the subsurface using the array of ground and satellite-based instruments to which they have access. This is from Hannah Osborne on Live Science. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.